Anthony Newley, Anthony Newley, 24 September 1931, 14 April 1999, was an English actor, singer, and songwriter. He achieved success as a performer in such diverse fields as rock and roll and stage and screen acting. As a recording artist, his recordings reached the top 40 chart on a dozen occasions between 1959 and 1962, including two number 1 hits. With songwriting partner Leslie Bricusse, he wrote "Feeling Good," which was covered by Nina Simone and other artists, as well as the lyrics for the title song of the 1964 film Goldfinger. The music was composed by John Barry. Bricusse and Newley received an Academy Award nomination for the film's score of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory 1971. The Guinness Book of British Hit Singles and Albums described Newley as among the most innovative UK acts of the early rock years before moving into musicals and cabaret. Newley was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1989. Early life. Newley was born on 24 September 1931 in the London district of Hackney, the son of Frances Grace Newley and George Kirby, a shipping clerk. He did not have any siblings. He was Jewish through his maternal grandmother. His parents, who had never married, separated during his early childhood, and his aunt and uncle brought him up through unofficial adoption. During the Second World War, he was evacuated to a foster home in the countryside safe from the Blitz aerial bombing attacks on London. Newley attended Clapton Park Lower School, now named Mandeville Primary School, which today recognizes him as an alumnus with an official plaque. Although recognized as very bright by his teachers, by the age of 14 he had left education and was working as an office boy for an advertising agency in Fleet Street called Hannaford and Goodman. When he read an ad in the Daily Telegraph, headed "Boy Actors Urgently Wanted," he applied to the advertisers, the Italia Conti Stage School, only to discover that the fees were too high. Nevertheless, after a brief audition, he was offered a job as an office boy on a salary of 30 shillings a week plus tuition at the school. While serving tea one afternoon, he caught the eye of producer Geoffrey de Barkis, who cast Newley as the title character in the children's film serial Dusty Bates Aka, The Adventures of Dusty Bates, 1947. Acting, music, and satire. Newley followed Dusty Bates by an appearance as Dick Bultitude in Peter Ustinov's Vice Versa 1948, followed by the Artful Dodger in David Lean's Oliver Twist, also 1948, based on the Charles Dickens novel. He made a successful transition from child star to actor in British films of the 1950s, his early career broken by a spell of national service. During the 1950s, he appeared in many British radio programs, and for a time appeared as Cyril in Floggett's starring Elsie and Doris Waters. However, it was probably the film Idle on Parade 1959 that most changed his career direction. In the film, he played a rock singer called up for national service. The story was somewhat inspired by Elvis Presley, having recently been drafted for Army service in the United States. The film No Time to Die, also known as Tank Force 1958, cemented Newley's position as a leading screen actor. Newley's career as a pop singer began in May 1959 with the song "I've Waited So Long," a number 3 hit in the UK charts thanks to the exposure it received as being featured in the film Idle on Parade. This was quickly followed by his number 6 hit Personality and then 2 number 1 hits in early 1960, while originally a 1959 US hit for Frankie Avalon and Do You Mind, written by Lionel Bart. The ATV series The Strange World of Gurney Slade 1960 starred Newley, who was also its creator. A comedy series of 6 half-hour programs, it develops from a premise established in the opening scene. Newley's character escapes from a television program, which is Gurney Slade itself. Now considered ahead of its time, the series was quickly moved from a peak time slot. As a songwriter, he won the 1963 Grammy Award for Song of the Year for What Kind of Fool Am I? But he was also well known for Gonna Build a Mountain, Once in a Lifetime, On a Wonderful Day Like Today, the Joker, and comic novelty songs such as That Noise and the Oompa Loompa Song, and his versions of Strawberry Fair and Pop Goes the Weasel. He wrote songs that others made hits, including Goldfinger, the title song of the James Bond film Goldfinger, music by John Barry, and Feeling Good, which became a hit for Nina Simone and the rock band Muse, as well as a signature song for singer Michael Bublé. It was featured in a jam recorded live at the Fillmore West for Traffic's 1969 LP Last Exit. It has also been covered by Joe Bonamassa on his album The Ballad of John Henry. His compositions have been recorded by artists as diverse as Harry Connick Jr. and Mariah Carey. He wrote ballads, many with Leslie Bricusse, that became signature hits for Sammy Davis Jr., Shirley Bassey, and Tony Bennett. During the 1960s, he appeared on London's West End Theatre and Broadway theatre stage, in Hollywood films, and British and American television. With Bricusse he wrote the musical Stop the World I Want to Get Off, in which he also performed, earning a nomination for a Tony Award for Best Leading Actor in a Musical. A hit in London and on Broadway. It was made into a film version in 1966, in which Newley was unable to star owing to a schedule conflict. The other musicals for which he co-wrote music and lyrics with Bricusse included The Roar of the Greasepaint, The Smell of the Crowd 1965, and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory 1971, based on the children's book by Roald Dahl. When he collaborated with Bricusse, the two men referred to themselves as the team of Brickman and Newberg, with Newberg concentrating mainly on the music and Brickman on the lyrics. Ian Fraser often devised their arrangements. For the songs from Hieronymus Merkin, Newley collaborated with Herbert Kretzmer. In 1963, Newley had a hit comedy album called Fool Britannia, the result of improvisational satires of the British Profumo scandal of the time by a team of Newley, his then-wife Joan Collins, and Peter Sellers. It peaked at number 10 in the UK Albums Chart in October 1963. Newley's contributions to Christmas music are highlighted by his rendition of the Coventry Carol, which appears on many anthologies. He also wrote and recorded a novelty Christmas song called Santa Claus's Elvis. There is also a notorious album of spoken poetry, the sleeve of which displays Newley and a young model, both nude. Newley played Matthew Mugg in the original Dr. Dolittle 1967, a difficult experience in part because of the hostility he endured from the lead actor, Rex Harrison, and he also played the repressed English businessman opposite Sandy Dennis in the original Sweet November 1968. He hosted Lucille Ball's character on a whirlwind tour of London in Lucy in London 1966. He performed in the autobiographical, Fellini-esque and X-rated Can Hieronymus Merkin Ever Forget Mercy Hump and Find True Happiness? 1969, which he also directed and co-wrote with Herman Rocher. He appeared as Quilp in Mr. Quilp 1975, based on Dickens's The Old Curiosity Shop, for which he composed some songs. Love Has the Longest Memory of All. His last feature role, in the cast of the long-running British TV soap opera EastEnders, was to have been a regular role, but Newley had to withdraw after a few months when his health began to fail. Despite the fact that such compositions as What Kind of Fool Am I? And The Candyman, a U.S. #1 single for Sammy Davis Jr., and The Mike Curb Congregation in 1972, became international hits, Newley had less chart success in the United States as a recording artist, charting on the Billboard Hot 100 with 4 singles from 1960 to 19. However, he later had a number 12 hit on the adult contemporary charts in 1976 with Teach the Children. Later life. In the 1970s, he remained active, particularly as a Las Vegas and Catskills Borscht Belt resort performer, game show panelist such as on Hollywood Squares, and talk show guest, but his career had begun to flounder. He had taken risks that eventually led to his downfall in Hollywood. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, he worked to achieve a comeback. In the summer of 1983, Newley was the lead in Chaplin, a Broadway-bound musical he co-wrote with Stanley Ralph Ross that never made it out of previews in Los Angeles. He briefly appeared on Late Night with David Letterman when in town to be inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame to sing the theme to Viewer Mail. He staged a successful American tour of his Stop the World I Want to Get Off in 1986-87. The production co-starred the then unknown Susie Plaxon, whom Newley had discovered. The tour yielded her some strong notices and led to a steady career on stage and television. He was also featured as the Mad Hatter in Irwin Allen's all-star television adaptation of Alice in Wonderland 1985. In his later years as a mature singer, Newley recorded songs from Fiddler on the Roof and Scrooge. He enjoyed his final popular success on stage when he starred in the latter musical, which showed in London and toured British cities including Liverpool, Birmingham, Bristol, and Manchester in the 1990s. At the time of his death, he had been working on a musical of Shakespeare's Richard Roman III. He died of renal cancer at the age of 67, soon after he had become a grandfather. In recognition of his creative skills and body of work, Newley was elected to the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1989. Personal life. Newley was married 3 times. And Lynn 1956-1963, one son, one son, one son, one son, one son, one son. Joan Collins 1963-1970, one daughter and one son. Dorothy Rich 1971-1989, one daughter and one son. His first marriage, to and Lynn from 1956 to 1963, ended in divorce. A son, Simon, was born to them but died in infancy from a congenital infirmity. He then was married to the actress Joan Collins from 1963 to 1970. The couple had 2 children, Tara Newley and Satya Alexander Newley. Tara became a broadcaster in Britain, and Satya is a portrait artist based in New York City. Newley's third wife was former air hostess Dorothy Rich, and they had 2 children, Shelby and Christopher. In an episode of Angela and Friends Sky One, Tara Newley also mentioned another sister, a third living daughter of Newley. Newley's stepfather, Ronald Gardner, later lived in Beverly Hills working as a chauffeur. Newley searched, with the help of a detective, for his biological father, George Kirby, and had a reunion. His mother then began a correspondence with her long-lost love. Newley flew him out to Los Angeles and bought them a house, where they lived until George died. Death and legacy. Newley died on 14 April 1999 in Jensen Beach, Florida, from renal cancer at the age of 67. He had first been diagnosed with cancer in 1985, and it returned in 1997 and spread to his lungs and liver. He was said to have died in the arms of his companion, the designer Gina Frattini. He was survived by his 5 children, a granddaughter Mille, and his mother Grace, then aged 96. Since then 2 more grandchildren have been born, Weston Tara's second child and Ava Grace Satch's first, with his former wife Angela Tassoni. Newley's life is the subject of a biography by Garth Bardsley called Stop the World London, Oberon, 2003. Another book was published in 2013 called Dear Tony, a book about a long-lasting friendship with a young American woman with whom he fell in love. Amongst the many compilations of his recordings are Anthony Newley, The Decay Years 1959-1964, Once in a Lifetime, The Anthony Newley Collection 1960-71, and Anthony Newley's Greatest Hits Durham. In May 2010, Stage Door Records released a compilation of unreleased Newley recordings entitled Newley Discovered. The album, produced with the Anthony Newley Society and Newley's family, contains the concept recordings for Newley's self-penned film musicals Can Artemis Merkin Ever Forget Mercy Hump and Find True Happiness? Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and Mr. Quilp. Pure Imagination, the world of Anthony Newley and Leslie Bricusse, devised and directed by Bruce Kimmel, opened at the Pacific Resident Theater in Venice, California, on 7 December 2013. Newley was an early influence on the rock musician David Bowie, who was a fan of his. The producer of his first album, Mike Vernon, even described his first impression of Bowie as a young Anthony Newley. Discography. Albums. Studio albums. 1955 Cranks HMVCL 1082 Original London Cast. 1960 Love is a Now and Then Thing DKL K4000 343 London LL 3000 156 UK #19 1961 Tony DKL K4000 406 London PS 244 1964 In My Solitude DK LK4600 RCA Victor LSP-2925 1965 Who Can I Turn To? RCA Victor LPM-3000 347 Mono RCA Victor LSP-3000 347 Stereo 1966 Who Can I Turn To? RCA Victor 7000 737 Mono RCA Victor 7000 737 Stereo on Stereo 1966 Newly delivered Decal K4000 654 1966 Newly recorded RCA Victor RD 7000 873 RCA Victor LSP-3000 614 1966 The Genius of Anthony Newley London PS 361 1967 Anthony Newley sings the songs from Dr. Dolittle RCA Victor LSP-3000 839 1969 The Romantic World of Anthony Newley DKSB 45 1970 For You Bell Records 1101 1971 Pure Imagination MGM S4000 781 1 1972 Ain't It Funny MGM/Verve MV 5096 1977 The Singer and His Songs United Artists LS 718G 1985 Mr. Personality Dick at Tab 84 1992 Too Much Woman BBI CEGNP/Crescendo 2243 2012 The Last Song The Final Recording Stage Door Stage 9031 Compilation albums 1962 This Is Tony Newley London LL 362 1963 Peak Performances London LL 3000 283 1969 The Best of Anthony Newley RCA Victor LS 4000 163 1990 Anthony Newley's Greatest Hits Durham 82694 1990 Greatest Hits Decad 1995 The Best of Anthony Newley GNP Crescendo 1996 The Very Best of Anthony Newley Carlton 30,000 364 122 22 1997 The Very Best of Anthony Newley Spectrum Music 552 90-2 1997 Once in a Lifetime The Collection Razor and Tyree 2145-2 2000 A Wonderful Day Like Today Camden 2000 On a Wonderful Day Like Today The Anthony Newley Collection BMG 74,000 321 752,592 2000 Decay Years 1959-1964 Decay 466 918-2 2001 Best of Anthony Newley Decay 2002 What Kind of Fool Am I? Armory 2002 Remembering Anthony Newley The Music, the Life The Legend Prism Leisure Some 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 Leisure 2003 Stop the World Blitz 2004 Love is a Now and Then Thing / In My Solitude Vocalion 2004 Pure Imagination / Ain't It Funny Edsel 2005 The Magic of Anthony Newley Kala 2006 Anthology Universal / Spectrum 2006 Anthony Newley Collection Universal / Spectrum. 2006 Newly delivered Dutton Vocalion. 2007 Best of Anthony Newley Sony. 2007 Best of Anthony Newley Camden. 2010 Newly discovered Stage Door Records. Eps. Eps. 1959 Idol on Parade. I've waited so long / Idol Rock-a-Boogie / Idol on Parade / Set. 1960 Tony's Hits Why / Anything You Wanna Do / Personality / My Blue Angel Decade DF 6629 89. 1960 More hits from Tony. If She Should Come to You / Girls Were Made to Love and Kiss / Do You Mind / Lifetime of Happiness Decade DF 6655. 1961 This Time The Dreams on Me Gone with the Wind / This Time The Dreams on Me / It's the Talk of the Town / What's the Good About Goodbye DKDF 6687. Singles. 1959 I've Waited So Long / Saturday Night Rock Boogie Decaf 11127 UK No. 3. 1959 Idol on Parade / Idol Rock Boogie Decaf 11137. 1959 Personality / My Blue Angel Decaf 11142 UK No. 6. 1959 Someone to Love / It's All Over Decaf 11163. 1960 Why / Anything You Wanna Do Decaf 11194 UK No. 1. 1 No 1 or UK No. 1 No 1 1 1 No 1 No 1 No 1. 1960 Do You Mind / Girls Were Made to Love and Kiss Decaf 11220 UK No. 1, London 1918, US No. 91. 1960 If She Should Come to You / Lifetime of Happiness Decaf 11254 UK No. 4, London 1929, US No. 67. 1960 Strawberry Fair / A Boy Without a Girl Decaf 11295 UK No. 3. 1961 And the Heavens Cried / Lonely Boy and Pretty Girl Decaf 11331 UK No. 6. 1961 Pop Goes the Weasel / B-Bomb Decaf 11362 UK No. 12, London 9501 US No. 85. 1961 What Kind of Fool Am I / Once in a Lifetime Decaf 11376 UK No. 36, London 9546 US No. 85. 1962 D Darling / I'll Walk Beside You Decaf 11419 UK No. 25. 1962 That Noise / The Little Golden Clown Decaf 11486 UK No. 34. 1963 There Is No Such Thing as Love / She's Just Another Girl Decaf 11636. 1963 The Father of Girls / I Love Everything About You Decaf 11767 C7. 1964 Tribute / Lament to a Hero Decaf 11818. 1964 Solitude / I'll Teach You How to Cry Decaf 11883. 1966 Why Can't You Try to Didgeridoo / Is There a Way Back to Your Arms RCA 1518 RCA 47 minus 8000. 1966 Moogies Bloogies recorded with Delia Derbyshire unreleased demo. 1967 Something in Your Smile / I Think I Like You RCA 1637. 1968 I'm All I Need / When You Gotta Go MCA Mutant 61. 1968 Sweet November Warner Bros. records 7,174. 1976 Teach the Children United Artists 825, U.S. Adult Contemporary No. 12. Recordings of musicals. 1961 Stop the World I Want to Get Off. Original Broadway cast album writer and performer. 1965 The Roar of the Grease Paint. The Smell of the Crowd original Broadway cast album writer and performer. 1966 Stop the World I Want to Get Off. Film musical soundtrack writer. 1967 Dr. Dolittle original film musical soundtrack performer. 1969 Can Aranimus Merkin Ever Forget Mercy Hump and Find True Happiness original film musical soundtrack writer and performer. 1971 Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory original film musical soundtrack writer. 1972 The Good Old Bad Old Days original London cast album writer and performer. 1974 Mr. Quilp original film musical soundtrack writer and performer. 1994 Scrooge original London cast recording performer. Theatre. Cranks November 26, 1956 December 29, 1956 Bijou Theatre, performer. Stop the World I Want to Get Off October 3, 1962. The Roar of the Grease Paint, The Smell of the Crowd May 16, 1965 December 4, 1965 Schubert, Theatre Music and Lyrics, Book, Director, Performer. Anthony Newley/Henry Mancini, October 31, 1974 November 10, 1974 Uris Theatre Performer. Chaplin, August 12, 1983 September 24, 1983 Dorothy Chandler Pavilion, Los Angeles performer. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, April 23, 2017 January 14, 2018 Luntfontein Theatre Music and Lyrics Songs from the Motion Picture. Filmography. Awards and nominations.